Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are once again going to be doing another Left 4 Dead 2 ranking video. And this Left 4 Dead 2 ranking video, we are going to be ranking all the cut content from the Left 4 Dead series. So that poll I put out a while back saying what you guys want me to rank next, the second winner of that, or in this case second place, was the scrapped content idea. So I decided to do that next, and this one's very fun because we're ranking content that technically doesn't exist. Although a lot of these things that are in this list here, some of them, but not all of them, are actually reincarnated in some form or fashion in other Left 4 Dead games, such as Back 4 Blood, which we will talk about later. So that's pretty cool. So not everything technically is cut, but it's not exactly in Left 4 Dead 2. But at the end of the day, this is still fun, because this is basically looking at what could have been for Left 4 Dead, and how it could have been a very, very different game. So that's why I'm really going to be enjoying making this list here today. If you guys end up enjoying this video, by the end, I would definitely appreciate if you guys could show your support by dropping a like, comment, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate any support that you guys can give, because I know you guys love this series. If we can break somewhere around... I would say 10 likes, that'd be very appreciated. I normally don't go for a like goal, but I would definitely appreciate it, guys. Let's see if we can end up hitting 10 likes. But yeah, guys, let's rank all the scrap content in Left 4 Dead. Now keep in mind that what I'm ranking here is based off of scrapped info that I already know about. I'm actually going back over my scrapped content video, which if you guys haven't seen that before, I'll leave a link for it down below in the description. But basically, I don't know every single little thing that was scrapped, so I'm just going to be ranking what I already know. So, just want to let you guys know. But coming in at our very first spot here, this is going to end up being that originally the jockey was supposed to be naked. Let that sink in for a second. So, like, I'm going to give you some imagery, okay? Imagine Patrick from Spongebob, and then you give him a little bit of crystal meth, and then there you go. And I don't want to imagine Patrick on crystal meth dragging his ball sack across the top of my neck, so I'm very glad that this was scrapped, and that this was nowhere to be seen. I don't know if there's going to be a mod for it on the Steam Workshop, or if there already is one, and if you are, I'm going to be questioning your mental health. But yeah, so Left 4 Dead originally was going to have the jockey be naked. Thank God Valve never went through with that decision. Alrighty guys, so coming in at the next spot here, this is going to end up being a spot that involves the witch. So for this particular scrap piece of content, this is going to be a mechanic that the witch originally used to do. So back in Left 4 Dead 1, when it was first being developed, originally the witch, when it was startled, instead of going after one person, or in this case the particular person that startled her, she would originally kill everybody. She would just freak the hell out, and she would go and murder every single survivor. And I have exactly one thought as soon as I hear that. I am very glad that this is not in the game. Because can you imagine how common there would be team wipes if the witch was able to kill everybody? Because remember, she incapacitates people in one hit and kills them on expert in one hit. So if you're playing and you have like a whole bunch of morons, I can't even imagine how horrible that would be to end up trying to go through a campaign and just constantly getting screwed by something that's just out of your hands, because you can get killed by essentially your teammates screwing up, and that is always the worst feeling in video games, when you die and it's not even your fault. So I'm very glad that they nerfed the witch and made it where she only targets that specific person, because then they only punish the person that was blatantly ending up being their fault. So I'm very glad that it doesn't affect anybody else. Alright, coming into the next spot here, this is going to be a scrapped mechanic for the tank, or in this case, two scrap mechanics. So the tank originally, just like the witch, was also overpowered as hell, and the tank originally, what he was meant to do, and this carried over to Left 4 Dead 2, by the way, is that the tank originally was able to not only throw multiple rocks at survivors, but significantly faster. So the rocks that the tank throws, we all know, is kind of like a long-range attack, and it's very slow. The tank, and you can find old footage of this, trust me, it exists on the internet. You just look up tank old rock throw, and he will throw these rocks super fast. It's almost like in the blink of an eye fast. It's ridiculous. Now, the idea behind it was that it doesn't throw as far. It was supposed to be kind of like a close range attack, or more of like a medium one. It wasn't necessarily meant to snipe like it currently does. So you would throw it really fast, but it would be kind of low to the ground and really wouldn't get that much distance. But the thing is, though, is that the fact that you're able to throw multiple rocks and kind of do like a 1-2 punch, even from a distance, that is extremely difficult to avoid. But imagine that, but at lightning speed. Like I said, look up the gameplay. I don't have the gameplay for the sake of the fact that I don't want to keep copying other YouTubers' gameplays. But seriously, look it up one day. It's extremely overpowered watching what the tank originally was capable of doing, and I'm so glad that they removed it. Not everything in here I'm disappointed about. I'm actually kind of glad some of these things got removed. Alrighty, now coming in at another spot here, which is going to be a little bit less ridiculous. This is going to be an old mechanic that involved the Bile bomb. So the Bile bomb, we all know, is basically like a distraction device. You throw it, and these, the zombies go after it, and they will leave you alone for the duration. You can also use this to throw it on special infected and get them to attack them, such as like with the septic tank achievement. But did you know that originally that the Bile bomb was also meant to work that way on your teammates? So if you were to originally throw a Bile bomb on your teammates, at one point in time, it would be like the septic tank, where you would end up making your teammates have a Bile bomb effect on them, kind of like how the Boomer does now, and zombies would go after them. This was removed for griefing reasons, but it is kind of interesting to know that Valve had that in mind. Maybe they just didn't want people just blindly throwing the Bile bomb and being just careless, kind of like how you don't want to throw a pipe bomb at our teammates and make them explode. But I'm very glad, though, that this doesn't exist, because I can see people deliberately doing this to just mess with people, and it would just get annoying really fast. And now within that same vein, now we get to talk about scrap content revolving the pipe bomb. So originally the pipe bomb did not attract infected. It would just blow up the way it normally does, and almost kind of act like a hand grenade. Now, the pipe bomb in particular I almost never use, because I honestly prefer the Molotov. But with the pipe bomb, if it did end up having this be the original state it was and just got left this way, I definitely would consider using the Molotov even more. Because I'll admit, I love the Molotov, but I will use a pipe bomb and a Bile bomb if I have the option to. And the thing is, though, is that the pipe bomb only was just like a hand grenade, kind of just like what it is like in CSGO. I can see that being useful, but not really. It would be very niche and circumstantial. You could just be like, okay, I'm going to chuck this and use it to like stun the enemy and maybe get him to back off a little bit. If it was like an insta-kill and did a lot of damage so that way you could kill like special infected, that'd be different. But if it had no attraction effect and it kind of just did the same damage, really all you're going to do is just stun things. Now, I want to point this out because I just noticed this just now while editing, but does anybody notice that a lot of these scrapped content ideas so far have been implemented into Back 4 Blood in some kind of capacity? Like, think about it, really, because Left 4 Dead 1 was originally made by Turtle Rock before Valve got the rights. So, I think that a lot of Turtle Rock's original ideas are being implemented into Back 4 Blood. I just noticed that, so I just thought I would just point it out. Alright, now we're going back to the Special Infected. So for the Special Infected, now we're going to be talking about the Hunter. There was a lot of scrapped ideas with the Special Infected, I'll tell you that much, guys. The Special Infected were originally going to be very OP. And that goes in regards to the Hunter, too, as well. So I have a photo of this, luckily. And this is going to be showing a mechanic that the Hunter used to be able to do, where he was able to hover above on a roof just like a bat. He would just be sitting there upside down, and he would just linger. And he would be able to be in the shadows and just pounce on people when they're not looking. This would be an extreme version of kind of like what he does in the Left 4 Dead 1 original trailer, where he just is hiding and just snipes people. I can see a lot of people liking the Hunter if they were playing as him this way. This would definitely make him more fun. But it would make him, in turn, more annoying to play as, because he is kind of in a darker outfit, and Left 4 Dead 1 in particular, because this is where this scrap content idea came from. Some come from Left 4 Dead 1 and some come from 2. But if the Hunter was able to just sit on roofs on places like No Mercy, that would just be really old really fast. At least if you were the survivor, because you would just be sitting in, minding your own business and just waiting for people to walk by, and you could easily catch them off guard. So it could be 50-50. I mean, not every single spot is completely pitch dark, but we don't like being ambushed when we obviously clearly could have ended up seeing somebody. It just gets annoying when you end up dying from something you feel like you don't deserve to die by, and I feel like this would have been something like that. Now, I don't have a photo of this one, but it's not really necessarily that important. I just thought it was just kind of cool because it revolves around actually cutting an Easter egg, sort of. So, we all remember the charger that's on Swamp Fever that actually is supposed to be representing the Half-Life logo when he's all strung up. But did you know that originally that the charger instead was going to be a boomer? Same concept, but it was just going to be a boomer. Either that or they was just not going to have the Easter egg in there. Maybe they would have just hung him up like via noose. But if you really think about it, depending on how they would have hung up that boomer, because the boomer doesn't really have that long of arms, they could have just honestly just scrapped an Easter egg altogether, which would have been really weird. You don't really hear too much about cut Easter eggs. That's something that you don't hear of every day. Here's a little quick one though, although it's not being that big, is that the Boomer Bile or Boomer Vomit was originally supposed to be red to represent blood, instead of green to represent the current Bile that we got now. And I don't necessarily think this would be the biggest change in the world, but it definitely would make the game feel more immersive with all the blood. Alright, so this one's going to end up being a biggie. So this revolves around the original look of the Left 4 Dead 1 crew, and also Coach, because I don't see any original models for Ellis, Nick, or Rochelle that look really that different. But Coach, and then the Left 4 Dead 1 crew in particular, had very different looks on how they originally were planned to be. And I'm going to show you photos of them. So this is the Left 4 Dead 1 crew, the way they actually were in the beta. You could play the Left 4 Dead 1 beta and they looked like this. There's even mods where this replicates them, and I definitely recommend checking it out because there was a lot of stuff in Left 4 Dead 1's beta that was different from the full entire game. I feel like Left 4 Dead from beta to launch was one of the most different games, honestly. And then this is Coach. So Coach looks a little bit like himself, but the costume's different. I would say that the Left 4 Dead 1 crew had more drastic of changes because there's people that end up saying like, oh yeah, well they don't look that different, but if you really look, there's like huge differences. Like for example, like Zoe looks like a teenager in the original model compared to her like 20-year-old self. And then there's things like with Lewis and Francis where they literally look like different human beings. I mean, Francis is fat and Lewis is just all of a sudden like much more beefy. It's almost like as if they switched roles for some reason. Alright, so now we've got one more change with the old Special Infected. So this revolves around the way that the Smoker used to work. And for the Smoker, he had two abilities that were very different. So the first one being is that the Smoker originally was able to puff out smoke on command. So that smoke that makes the survivors cough and kind of like distorts their vision, you could just do that whenever you wanted. As the Smoker, you could essentially use it as a kind of like a gas grenade from like Call of Duty, and it'll like make people like cough and be weak. I don't know necessarily if it would have done damage, but it might have been a really good idea to like just place that and just make people distracted. And you could just, I don't know what the cooldown would have been, but you could just theoretically just stun them with the smoke and then like hide in it and then attack. And I could see that being like a very sneaky cover way. And also another thing as well is that relating to the Smoker's mechanics, originally he used to be able to smoke people a lot faster. So he would pull you like probably like half the speed that he does now. But the thing is though is that there was a caveat. You couldn't pull people up vertically, so if you were above a survivor and they were like being hung noose style, they would just not end up hanging. They would just not, it wouldn't work. But the thing was, though, is that that was your trade-off. You either pulled them faster while being able to have a fart cloud around you at all times, on your command, by the way, and the only difference was that you couldn't just hang people vertically. So you kind of had to be on the floor at their level, and I don't necessarily have a problem with this. I would have actually been fine with the Smoker either way, but we never know. We would have to actually play the Smoker that way to be able to get a proper judgment, because he could have just been annoying and I just wouldn't have known it. Okay, so this is a cool idea. So this is revolving around special infected animals. So originally in Left 4 Dead, there was going to be two special infected animals that were going to be in the game. Now, one of them was going to end up being a dog. They could have possibly gone for the Hellhound look from Call of Duty. Or what they could have done is they could have ended up just making their own dog flat outright. But keep in mind that Left 4 Dead 1 and World at War, where the Hellhounds were introduced to the Call of Duty series, were within the same year. So this could have been a very likely chance that they would have looked very similarly. But who knows, we never got to see at the end of the day. Unfortunately, there's no concept art. But there is for the other one, which is going to end up being the Hell Hog, which is basically a zombie pig. This is going to be the photo of the Hell Hog. So the Hell Hog does look like a normal pig, but just demonic and zombie themed. I don't really care for the idea of zombie animals too much, but I feel like Left 4 Dead could have done it right. See, zombie games, as much as they're fiction, I do like them to have a lot of realism. I obviously wouldn't want the zombies to be like able to talk and be able to essentially be human beings. But the idea behind a zombie animal does seem kind of cool. I mean, let's be honest. If we ended up having the Hellhounds work in Call of Duty, the Hell Hog and stuff like that could have worked in Left 4 Dead. I mean, let's be honest. Alright, now this is probably one of my personal favorites. This is going to end up being an alternate ending to Left 4 Dead's campaign, Dark Carnival. So Dark Carnival, for those of you guys that haven't been a part of the channel that long, it's my personal favorite campaign. I really love, honestly, everything about it, especially the finale. Now, the finale, as we know, you end up starting the concert for the Midnight Riders band, and then eventually you get evacuated on a helicopter. But originally what was going to happen was that there was going to end up being a NPC that you could end up talking to, and he would actually take the Midnight Riders tour bus and burst into the concert with it and rescue the survivors that way. You can find dialogue between Nick and this guy online, although you can't hear the other guy, you can only just hear Nick. But you can hear this. You can legitimately hear Nick quotes revolving around this type of scrapped ending, and I think that this ending would have been better. I mean, the helicopter ending is cool, but having the Midnight Riders bus burst in, I mean, that seems much cooler in my opinion. I mean, that would be a alternate ending, and it would definitely be a cooler ending in my eyes. Alrighty guys, we got a few more things left. This is going to be now scrapped weapons. So for scrapped weapons, I believe this was meant for Left 4 Dead 2. But this is going to end up being scrapped weapons for a flare gun and a riot shield. I believe you can get the riot shield if you end up going to the consoles. But the thing is though, is with the riot shield, it's very buggy because the product was never finished. And it's kind of like mixture of fan-made content slash just looking up in the game's code and the console commands. Now, as far as I'm aware with the flare gun, that never has resurfaced whatsoever. The only way we even know about this is a quote that you can find on Hard Rain. So at the beginning of Hard Rain, there's sometimes the quote where they're talking about the gun bag, and the gun bag refers to a flare gun, and that's the only instance we've ever seen. I don't know if someone wants to make a flare gun mod for like the Magnum or something, or even just make just like their own code and make it just a flat weapon altogether for like a special campaign, like a custom map. But yeah, we never saw the flare gun, and I can only imagine that it would be some sort of support weapon, or unless they want to be just a gun Molotov, which that would be cool. I wouldn't mind a gun Molotov. Maybe it would have been an alternate secondary to the pistol and the Magnum. I could see that being kind of useful, to be honest. And the riot shield, I don't imagine people wanting to carry the riot shield because you can't carry two primary weapons in this game, and I don't think people would want to go around smacking things with a riot shield. But I've never used the in-game code or even mods to try to make a riot shield, so I can only imagine what the modders would end up making it. But the console commands, like I said, are buggy, and I kind of almost want to see the official one rather than a fan-made one, and that's just my humble opinion at the end of the day. Alrighty guys, so this is going to end up being the last set of things. So I'm going to be putting these all together, and this is going to be every single scrap special infected. So in Left 4 Dead, we've had several special infected that we've come to know and love. We've got the Boomer, Smoker, Charger, Jockey, Witch, Hunter, all that stuff. But did you know there was actually so many special infected that just never saw the light of day? There was so many of them. The most infamous out of this list is going to end up being the Screamer. I'm pretty sure you all know this one. But this was originally supposed to be an idea for the Boomer. This was one of the very first special infected ever made. And this guy got scrapped very early on, like in 2004 or 5. But he was one of the first. And the idea behind him was he was supposed to function a lot like the way the Boomer does. He would be this kind of like insane asylum patient. There's a scrapped concept art where you can actually see mods where he's just a dude in a straitjacket. And he's supposed to scream and act like an insane asylum patient in the form of a zombie. The idea behind him is that if you saw him, he would run away from you, kind of like the Fallen Survivor. But what he would do is he would go around and he would try to find a safe spot so he could scream at the top of his lungs, and he would attract a horde that way. And the horde would then attack you. But the reason why they scrapped this is because they didn't want people trying to hunt down a special infected, because it would just get annoying. But they ended up adding the Fallen Survivor, which I don't know why, because that's the kind of the same concept. Even though, yes, the Fallen Survivor does end up giving you rewards, what if you end up having all the rewards? Then it's just kind of pointless. I mean, if anything, you just get extra, but I guess I can see why. It's just because it would just get annoying, and you don't want to have a horde constantly going after you because you missed one little dude. And some other content that was scrapped was more of them, obviously, but these ones were definitely going to be the more trickier ones to figure out what they were, because it either revolves around game code names or just images. So here's images slash code names with some of them. This is special infected that we never really got to figure out what they do, but we can have just an educational guess. So there is this guy, which I like to call Rat Guy, and I'm just assuming that he's going to act a lot like the Spitter. You know, I have a whole bunch of rats coming out of his stomach, and I can imagine that he would just spew them out and have the rats attack you, a lot like the Spitter does, but maybe they would like move instead of necessarily be stationary. And then there's a couple of other ones, such as Meat Wall, which is like a boomer tank, which honestly looks a lot like the Wretch, like really early Wretch from Back 4 Blood. And then we've also got Claws, which I also think is going to be another special infected in Back 4 Blood because we just saw something a lot like that in the Back 4 Blood new trailer recently. So yeah, guys, there was a lot of special infected that just never saw the light of day, and it would have been really, really cool just to have at least one more special infected into Left 4 Dead. I know that we never got one, and I really, really wish that there was, because we had the Left 4 Dead Last Stand update, and I understand that that update was really, really good and definitely deserves a lot of credit, but I really, really wish they would have pulled out just one more thing, such as making a new special infected or something, because that would have been huge. I mean, it was going to be PC anyways, so why not end up using the hardware to be able to make it? That would just honestly been really fun to me. But that's just my opinion at the end of the day. And everything at the end of the day is just my opinion. But let me know what your opinion is in the comment section down below, guys. Would you want to see any of these special infected be implemented? Or do you think that's just being better left in the past as kind of what could have been type of logic? But let me know. I'm just curious. Anyways, guys, that is going to be it here for today's video. I truly hope you guys ended up enjoying. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, and subscribe and all that beautiful stuff. Let me know your thoughts about all this scrap content down below in the comments. And if there's any other scrap content that exists that I don't know about but you know about, let me know about it, and maybe we can compare and contrast to do a list in the comments. But yeah, guys, I hope you ended up enjoying. And if you guys could also, by the way, do a favor for me and use code BlackNinja797 in all caps in the Fortnite and Epic Games item shops, that'd be very much appreciated. It'd be very useful for things such as when you're pre-ordering Back 4 Blood on the Epic launcher. If you guys are going to do so, I would be very, very thankful. And I just thought I would mention it, and so therefore this video is sponsored by Epic Games, so thank you, Epic. But yeah, guys, I hope you ended up enjoying, and I hope you enjoyed another YouTube video for the most unique YouTuber you guys are ever going to see. Thank you for watching, guys, and peace out.